you can get started for dollars. You can go out and you can buy. There are cameras from 10 years ago you can get for real cheap that are going to give you an amazing image. There's a way to do this for cheap. You can go to Home Depot and pick up some can lights for $15, and you can get started making movies. Really, just it really just depends on your drive as a person. There's no excuse not to try to do it.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to a very special edition of Tamayo Creative, actually one that I've been excited about for a very long time, and that's actually thanks to the guy that's standing right across from me. This is Nick Clemens. He is a professional videographer, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this stuff on terminology.
No, you're fine.
But a professional videographer, sound savant, lighting god, and it also happens to be my cousin. So maybe this whole creative thing runs in the family. Nick, I want to say thanks a lot for doing this, man.
No, I'm super happy to be here. I'm glad you're patient. We got a little set up. It's been kind of we're still kind of, they can't see it, but it's a mess in here now. It's kind of one of the, we did and I think you posted about it, and you'll probably show some footage, but we were doing a shoot yesterday. And when you're doing back to back, like kind of when you care about lighting, you're doing back to back shoots that are in totally different locations, and you have to haul your gear everywhere. You get to the one that it doesn't matter because you're not a client, and I'm like, we're just gonna throw shit around. And we kind of, sorry, I'll try not to cuss, but we're gonna try to.
It's all good.
But we'll try to, we're just gonna throw it together as fast as we can.
Yeah.
Nothing's. Careful walking. Like you might trip on a cable.
Well, hey, the cool thing is nobody can see that. But what's awesome too is that whether or not you say you kind of just like throw stuff together, dude, y'all's production value is something that like I've been trying to capture on this channel for forever. So yeah, anybody watching, this is all this man's work right here, man. I wish I could do what these guys have been able to do. So real quick, what is the name of the company that you work with?
Yes, so the company I own is called Keys and Cross Media. So we focus on working with churches and nonprofits. But then I work with a guy named Tim who runs Today Creative, and through him, he basically just contracts to me as like per gig, like, hey, I need someone who can do lighting or someone who can do some higher end cinematography. Yeah. He'll call me in. He's called Today Creative. And so that's where I do, probably about 20-30% of my work probably comes through him, and then I have 70% is my own business with churches.
Yeah, nice. So Keys and Cross Media, with that, is that how you got started in videography, or where did you kind of get that ball rolling?
I went in 5th grade. I went to a technology summer camp where it was like we learned how to build a website. We did some really basic 2D animation. I forget what the app was called, but it was there was a little stick man you could move his little points around, and you would capture frames, and you could do these crazy, ridiculous little stupid animations with it. Yeah. And then one of the days we were all handed little tiny crappy point and shoot cameras, and we got to record video. Yeah. And then we took the video, and then we got to edit it. And in that moment I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world. Getting to take something you shot, then cut it together. You're removing stuff you don't want. You're putting in the things you want. Yeah. Got obsessed with it, and then it kind of died down for a little while. I was like, I think I want to be a film. Like as a little kid, I was like, I think I want to be a filmmaker, because growing up, the dream profession for me was a race car driver. I was like, I want to race cars when I get older.
What's funny is I think I kind of remember you being into that.
Well, it was funny because at the time I didn't know that there was any I didn't know anything about European racing, at Formula One or Rallycross. So I was like, I'm going to be a NASCAR driver. And then now that I'm older, I'm like, I can't believe I want to be a NASCAR driver. There are so many cooler forms of racing. Yeah. But I did that, and it kind of started maybe I want to do filmmaking. And then I want to say 7th grade or 8th grade, a buddy of mine started doing longboarding and wanted to get sponsored, because YouTube at this point is growing and exploding massively. Oh yeah. So he was like, hey, I know you want to do filmmaking. Do you want to record longboarding videos with me? I can send those to you.
Yeah, please do. Heck, if we have any, we'll roll some right here.
So I grabbed my mom's. It was a Sony. I want to say HMC. No, HMC is a really nice one. It was this Sony point and shoot. It was the big advertisement on the camera was shoots in 1080, but it took 1080p pictures.
The video 440?
480, yeah. 480. So we shot on that for a really long time, and I think the card we had could only hold 5 minutes. Yeah. So we were constantly deleting bad clips, and it was we had to be really sparing with the video we shot. So that's what got me started in it. And then when I finally got to high school, we were really lucky to have a federally funded media program called I guess it was called digital media, but it was CTE, Career and Technical Education. Sorry, I thought a light turned on. Oh, it's Career and Technical Education. Yeah. And because it was federally funded, we had, I mean, at the time, we had the top of the line, like 8-core Mac Pro towers. We had top of the line, those were the Panasonic HMC 150s.
Right.
So these really nice camcorders.
Well, you talked about some projects that you've been working on. And I definitely want to dive into the technology and the actual equipment that you've been using, especially since you came from a camera that shot at 480, and now you're shooting at stuff like this.
6K.
Yeah,
I mean, I've shot 8K. Yeah.
Unbelievable. And yeah, I definitely want to dive into that. But concerning your projects, I want to discuss what you were able to do last night. The thing that I had the honor and honestly the privilege to sit in on and get some footage of you guys working.
Yeah, it's fun to have someone come on because, for us, it's kind of normal. Like that was a nothing shoot. Like that was just like let's have some fun with this one. Like let's just kind of goof off and throw some lights up and make it look pretty.
Yeah.
But so last night, what we were doing is we had a musician come into town. She's from North Carolina originally, but she now lives in Nashville, and that's where she works. And she's on a label, and she's
trying to make it big.
She's not big, but she's she's up and coming. I would say she has a market, and she's making a living. So she's a professional musician.
Yeah, Dana Catherine. Yep. Look her up.
So I don't know her personally, so I don't know exactly how deep she is into this, but like I know it is her full-time profession. She makes profession, and she makes money doing it.
Yeah.
So she had come into town to do a Christmas concert with a guy I work for named Father Ian, who runs the Art of Living Well, which is like a Catholic nonprofit that focuses on like retreats and video content and educational content.
Right.
So she came in to do like a quick Christmas concert. Originally, the plan was to like have it be more people focused, like have an actual audience. So there were some people there, have an audience, and then originally, because right now the big thing that group is working on, that Father Ian's working on, is VR content. He wants to start creating like full VR development. We were just going to do like, well, maybe we just do like a 360 live stream just so people can experience it.
Yeah.
And we tested we got a 360 camera, like a newer one, because I have an old one. We got a newer 360 camera. We tested it, and we were like, the quality's just not that great. Like we can get the audio in, but the audio still sounds kind of compressed.
Yeah.
So we were like, why not just like do a regular live stream, and we'll capture a 360 video we can off-put later. And then I was like, hey, Tim, my cousin's coming into town who does media, and he wants to see what we do. You just want to do a full-blown live stream? And he was like, yeah, of course.
I love it.
So she came in and did her concert, and we were just doing some really fun lighting techniques that, kind of what we do normally. We get to experiment with it more than we normally do on these because we have just total creative control when we're doing these kind of fun music concerts.
Yeah, and watching you guys set up the lights was so cool because as somebody who's trying to work with some lighting of myself and bring a higher production value to my own videos, like lighting has been huge, and it can really take like the camera that I have that's not really worth all that much from looking like a camera that's not worth that much to looking like a camera that's worth like over $2,000.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, even when I started, and I was telling you like I didn't have really gear that was worth the price I was being paid. Like the camera didn't matter. What it was is I went and I had bought a decent lens and I had bought some actual lights. And that's why, with like some hacks in there, that's why I could go in, and when my client looked at the video, they were like, this looks fantastic. Like it looks great. Because really, you don't even, 4K is great. And I would get if you're buying a camera today, buy a 4K camera.
Right.
But if you still have a 1080p camera and you don't have the money to upgrade to a new camera, but you want to upgrade, buy new lights. They've gotten crazy cheap. Buy a lens, buy old vintage lenses because they look gorgeous and they will totally change your production. Switching from like the 5.8 kit lens to like an f2. I mean, I have made tens, if not, no, we're just gonna say tens, just so I sound humble, because it's been because remember my career's been a long time. I could say hundreds, but that's that's my whole life. I've made tens of thousands of dollars using a $50 Russian lens that I stole from my dad.
That is
that
awesome.
I didn't pay for. Yeah. That's the camera. That's the lens that's filming me right now.
Oh, look at that! Tens of thousands of dollars using this guy.
Yeah, literally cost $50 on eBay. It's called a Helios 44-2, might be 44-0. And
I'll link that in the description below for anybody looking for it.
And it's one of the greatest lenses ever built. And then if you wanted to, if you were like, okay, this is great, but I need a wider lens and a tighter lens, you can buy the same. They're a little more expensive. The 50 is the cheapest.
Yeah.
But you can buy from that same company, so they still look fairly similar. A 42-2 or a 42-0. That's an 85 millimeter. They have 35 millimeters and they have a 24 millimeter. And they're all the 85 is the most expensive. I want to say like 200, 300. But then the other two are like 100 to 50.
Jeez.
So you can buy, a full prime set of lenses, which is everything you would ever need to make a movie, to shoot a client project, for whatever you need. It's every focal length you need for well under $1,000.
Oh yeah, it was wonderful.
Which is crazy thinking that like we shoot on lenses sometimes that cost 10 to 20. So the fact that like you can very easily compete with something like that, depending on the project, for under $1,000 and have more focal lengths, like. just do it. Like there's no excuse to like at this point in time, if you are an adult interested in it, if you're a kid, I get it. You don't make any money. Like, what can you do? Yeah. But if you're an adult who wants to like put a little bit of money in this, it's so easy to do it for cheap. Like, I will say as a filmmaker, my like perception of price is broken now.
Yeah.
Because as a person, I'm now like, oh, that costs $200. That's nothing. I'll buy it. And then at the end of the month, I'm like, oh my God, I've spent so much money. I haven't bought anything.
It just adds up over time. Yeah, yeah.
Well, because like you're like, oh yeah, like this. Okay, so like the thing I actually want in filmmaking, it costs $3,000. You'll save up for that. But then you'll see something that costs $200, and you're like, oh yeah, I'll just buy it.
Oh, that's like chump change at that point. When you're used to buying like thousands of dollars worth of equipment.
Yeah, it's really dangerous. So I don't want to sound like I'm not understanding when I'm like, you can do it now for a lot less, but like you can that EOS M is awesome.
I do love it. I think it's pretty awesome, but I will say the lens that you put on it last night, and I'll show some shots right now of the difference in quality after Nick put this lens on, and you can definitely educate me on exactly what that lens is, but I mean, it made it jump entirely. It was a different beast.
Oh yeah, and that one was the Sigma 18-55, for those wondering. If you do any filmmaking, you've definitely heard of that lens, because it is like, it's like the YouTube workhorse.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But like you don't even need a lens that expensive. You can get a $50 lens, $200-$300 camera, and like $300 is a lot of money. But like that's just the barrier.
Yeah. Right.
Like once you have a camera, all of the little things you can buy around it, you can get for very cheap and be up and running at a much higher quality level than someone who just bought a camera with the kit lens.
Right. Yeah.
If you don't buy the kit lens with your body, for not a lot more.
Yeah. And speaking of cameras, here, educate somebody who, like me, only works in graphic design. What is this film camera that you use?
Yeah, so in the grand scheme of things, these cameras are not that expensive. These are the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema cameras. We're running a 4K and a 6K. And like, I don't even know they're kind of one of those things, they're so unbelievable that they're kind of hard to talk about in a way.
Yeah.
Because for someone who has never used them, you hear, 6K camera, that's amazing.
Right.
And I'm like, there's some compromises, like keep in mind. But basically, these are about, if you can afford them, they are about the best starter cinema camera you can buy. So the thing you have to keep in mind, they both have about 13 stops of dynamic range, which means a stop of light is a doubling of light. So you're gonna have 13 doublings of light from your darkest to your brightest part of your brightest part of your frame. So like the shadows to the sun, before like you get too bright and it's just white and you can't see any detail, or it's just black and you can't see any detail, which is the perfect stat. Like the cameras go up to like 16, 18 now, but 13 is like, that is a great benchmark. If you're at 13, you're good.
Sweet.
But they cost like $1,200 and $2,000 respectively. $1,200 for the 4K, $2,000 for the 6K.
Yeah.
But if you can't afford the lens, go get those Russian lenses I was talking about. Those things are awesome.
$50 Russian lenses.
They've made me a ton of money. Like, highly recommend.
Oh, I love it.
Especially if you're shooting narrative work. Like if you want to go out with your friends and make a movie, don't buy this. Go buy a set of those Russian lenses. You will have every lens if you are an indie filmmaker and you just want to make a movie, go buy those Russian lenses. You can get a full set, and they're all going to look very similar. They're going to have the same kind of characteristics. And awesome.
Oh, that's freaking dope. Well, guys, you heard it here first. Nick, this was awesome, man. Dude, honestly, I think I have enough material to probably make like 4 videos.
I think so. We need to talk about drones.
I know, not a bit of it. But I do actually, dude. If you want to do at some point, like do like a Zoom call and do some stuff like that, it won't be anywhere near this quality, but like we can totally do it.
I mean, what we can do is we can do a Zoom call and I'll record myself with one of my cameras at the same time and just send.
And I'll just record with mine.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. So it's higher quality.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there we go. Well, dude, let's definitely do that, because I got a lot more questions I want to ask you. Well, guys,
thank you so much.
Yeah, dude, thank you so much. This was seriously awesome. I'm so excited to like edit this and watch my computer set itself on fire.
You might need to do playback at like 75-50% speed for
because it's not gonna. Yeah, it's not. It's gonna.
I'm one of those people who plays everything back at 1.5 speed, but I think in this video I probably wouldn't even touch it.
Yeah, not even gonna come close. But no, well, dude, that's what we went for this video. We went super high production value. Nick brought it. It's gonna be awesome. It might be a little tough to render everything on my end.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, well, if I bring it back to my tower, it will be. But guys, thanks so much for watching this spotlight feature on my cousin. He's a badass, and actually I'll link his channel in the description below so you can check it out. But dude, anything you want to say to anybody else who's watching, any projects you got coming up that we want to keep an eye out on?
I don't have any projects that I can be like, this is what you want to see, but we're doing some really cool FPV drone stuff that, we'll share that below. That'll be on our channels. But I mean, really, if you're a young filmmaker just starting, don't freak out about the gear. I know it's really easy to go down those gear rabbit holes on YouTube, and I know we talked a lot about gear today, and I was very nonchalantly just throwing around like, oh yeah, I've worked with Reds, I've worked with Aries, I've worked with all these, big brand cameras, but really you can get started for, dollars. You can go out and you can buy, there are cameras from 10 years ago you can get for real cheap that are going to give you an amazing image. There's a way to do this for cheap. You can go to Home Depot and pick up some can lights for $15, and you can get started making movies. Really just depends on your drive as a person. There's no excuse not to try to do it.
I completely agree. Well, this was awesome, guys. Thanks so much for checking in, and we will catch you in the next one.
Great. Awesome. What was that? An hour? Yeah, we did about an hour.
Oh, it's an hour recording?